Hi everyone, my name is Natalie, long time no see talk. I wanted to do a catch-up chat with you talking about what I'm currently reading, what I'm watching. So I think I'll start talking about some bookish current projects slash things I'm reading at the moment, and then I'll move on to other related things like my current whips, my current knitting and crochet projects, and what I'm watching at the moment, and maybe something else. We'll see. So, first of all, one of the things that I have been wanting to do for a while and that I just sort of kickstarted in May is to do a human history project. That sounds probably very vague. Basically, I felt like there are big chunks of history in human time that I know nothing about, or that I feel like are gaps in my knowledge. And I was considering how to approach this filling in the gaps of different historical eras and periods and events. And my project-minded brain immediately thought start from the beginning. So I have sort of decided to make a kind of human history project that will be ongoing for a long time, because it's not a reading project that I specifically made for anyone else. I made this, I have this as an idea for myself, and I don't really have a timeline for it. I just wanted to start from the beginning, and move forward in time. So what this means is that I decided to start with prehistory, prehistoric era, and I already realized at that point trying to figure out what was the starting point was already difficult enough, because on one hand I was particularly interested in human history, so as soon as Homo sapiens started, the timeline of Homo sapiens and onwards was my primary focus and what I really want to learn more about. Specifically, like I said, there are different times in the larger span of history that I feel that I have very little knowledge of, or that I haven't really put the pieces together. And there are many more modern times and eras that I know little of, but I've decided that I wanted to do it chronologically as much as is possible. And I also realized immediately that not only is it difficult to find a starting point, it's also going to be a challenge to sort of cover different geographical locations, because obviously human history isn't in just one place, and sometimes what is going on in one place isn't at all in link with other places, especially when you go back in time. So, all this to say that I decided to have a starting point of sort of a prehistory, just basically both early Homo sapiens as well as before humans. So paleontology was another area that I really wanted to learn about. I was never interested in dinosaurs as a kid. I feel like a lot of people who are interested in nature have a big interest in dinosaurs, and I was never interested in them until very recently. But because of that, I have very little information or knowledge about them and sort of the world that existed before humans. So I decided to have that as a sort of starting point. So what does this project entail? I am planning to read books on the particular time periods, when applicable, reading texts from the time periods, but also watch documentaries or in any other way consume media related to them to learn. And because I want to approach this from an information point of view, podcasts, documentaries, even like exhibitions. If you have any recommendations for me, I would be so thankful because, like I said, I am in very unfamiliar territory. So I have started to focus on prehistory, and I will continue on focusing on prehistory until I feel like I have a basic grasp on this time period. And then I will move on to ancient history, which I realize is another enormous category, and I will probably be stuck in ancient history for a long time because, of course, there's ancient Egypt, the Persian Empire, the Roman Empire, the ancient Greeks, and that also will be going hand in hand with reading texts from the time period, so that will be a bigger project. But I figured that I at least wanted to stick around in the prehistoric era until I felt like I had a grasp on what it looked like, what it felt like, what is the origins of humans. So like I said, I realized that this is an enormous undertaking, and I don't really want it to be, I have no intention of it being conclusive or all-encompassing. I just wanted to have sort of a way for me to learn more about history in the broad scale, in the long term. My first thought for this project was to spend 1 month per time period, but I quickly realized that I'm too slow of a reader and I have too many other projects ongoing at all times that I would never be able to do as much as I want to do. But I will probably try to share some of this project with you all and sort of do a wrap up of each time period as soon as I sort of finish that one and move on to another. So the first video would be something related to the prehistoric era. And so far I've read Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, A Brief History of Humankind. And obviously that book covers a wide scope of human history, but I specifically picked it up as the first text for the prehistoric era. And I also have Other Lands and another book on dinosaurs that I'm planning to read soon. Other Lands, I think, was Tom Halliday. I know that it had been nominated for the Wainwright Prize a couple of years back, and I think it even won. So I recently got that one to continue on with the Human History Project. So I guess that is what I wanted to say for this project. A big project that has no structure, that has no real timeline other than when I feel like I'm finished, and that starts with the vague prehistory era. But like I said, if you have any recommendations for books, documentaries, podcasts, anything else that I can find and consume related to the prehistoric era or even eras in the future in human history, do let me know, because I'm starting to sort of plan and book titles I want to check out and other things in the future as well, and making note of them so I can be a little bit more structured going forward. The other thing I want to talk about is I was watching, there is a plant and fungi conference, I think it's called, by Harvard Divinity School. And I think this was not the first time it was happening, but it was the first time that I was able to not participate, but to join in. So the Harvard Divinity School does this plant conference and in person, but you could also take part in it through Zoom. So I was listening to several talks by scientists, by writers, by advocates of different areas related somehow to plants and fungi. And it was such an inspiring few days of listening to these talks and listening to colonialism in nature discoveries, and listening to these networks and how all of the ecosystems work together, listening to the scientific research being done at the moment, and that will influence our understanding and reshape our understanding of plant life and on fungi. So I first heard about the plant conference through Jessica J. Lee, who is a writer. She's written 3 books and I have read 2 of them. I really love them. And she's also an environmental historian, I think is her title, but she shared that she would be talking on this conference, and so I decided to listen to her talk as well as several others, and I found it so inspiring. And like I said, I will put a link to the school's site below, and hopefully they will share recorded videos from the plant conference, because I think they have done that in the past, so you will still be able to listen to them. I made a list of some titles that came up during the plant conference and that I really want to check out. So of course Jessica J. Lee talked about dispersals, and I have it on my shelves. I've read a little bit of it, but I really want to read the whole thing, and that was high on my list. She also mentioned Kyo McClare's Unearthing, which I also have on my shelves, and she shared some quotes from the book, which was just fantastic, so I'm really eager to get to that one. I think that is a family memoir first and foremost, family history, but also talking about nature. And Kyo McClare has written other books on nature and on birds, I think specifically, so I definitely want to check that one out. Someone mentioned Toni Morrison's Beloved and the concept of re-memory, and that really stuck to me, and I have decided to pick that one up as well. I've ordered it. It hasn't arrived yet, but that is high on my priority because of the concept of re-memory that I found so interesting. Someone also mentioned How I Became a Tree, which is another book I have on my shelves and is written by an Indian writer. So I'm always interested in nature writing from different parts of the world that isn't just sort of the European, Western European narrative, but other types of nature, other types of writers, and that one is high on my list. And then also the author of The Light Eaters was one of the people talking, and that one, I loved Zoe, who is the author of this. I loved Zoe's talk and the enthusiasm that came through, and just the pure interest in plants and plant communication. And I have borrowed it from my library, so that is one I would like to read in the next few weeks. Also a book that I don't remember the author of, but it's called The Botany of Empire, or The Empire of Botany, that I am hoping to borrow through my university library, that also sounded fantastic and was again one of the books that was mentioned by one of the speakers. So yeah, it was just a fantastic conference, and I'm so grateful that they decided to share it on Zoom, so I was able to listen to several of these digitally. Okay, lastly, for my sort of general reading and other projects related things, Pride Month is coming up. So today is the 27th of May and June is Pride Month. June is also Pride Week in Gothenburg, and I am hoping to go to several different lectures and panels and whatnot, and we'll hopefully film some of those things and share them in a video, maybe as a Pride wrap-up. I am considering making a Pride recommendations video as well as a TBR combined, because I do have a lot of books on my shelves that I would love to read for Pride Month. So that is something I am thinking of. I also am planning to watch several movies, and I thought that I would put a link to a Pride watch list that I have on Letterboxd. If you have seen any of the movies and you specifically want to recommend them, I would be really interested in that. And general recommendations for LGBTQ plus movies is always welcome. Yeah, that is something. I'm planning to watch a lot of queer movies and read a lot of books for Pride Month, and that is something I want to make a video on, so hopefully that will come next week, because I want to put up the video at the beginning of Pride Month and focus on that in June. So that is, I think, what I wanted to say in general. Onwards to my currently reading. So I'm actually sort of in the middle of books. So I just finished Sapiens, as I mentioned before, and I am planning to start Other Lands next for my human history project. But the main book I'm currently reading is Wild Boar by Hannah Lutz, translated by Andy Turner. I actually got this one through the publisher Emma Press. They asked if I was interested in getting a arc of this, and I was really interested both in the book itself, which is written by a Finnish author writing in Swedish, and it's about different people's connection to a particular place called Hornanäs, I want to say. It says, the forests of Småland are home to a growing population of wild boar. They move in packs at night. Gardens are destroyed, farmland churned up, yet their elusiveness draws people in. Ritve is making a pilgrimage from Finland to track them down. Council worker Glenn finds his quiet life disturbed by their nighttime visits and his vision of apocalypse. Mia hopes a local history residency will help her grandfather recover his memory and voice. Wild Boar is a compelling and poetic debut from Finland-Swedish author Hannah Lutz about animals and people, their places in a changing ecosystem, and their capacities to grow and to destroy. So I was interested in the book itself because it's obviously nature fiction, but I was also interested because this is, of course, a book that was originally written in Swedish but has been translated into English. So I have always wanted to read a book both in Swedish and English to compare the translations and the experience of that, and that is exactly what I'm doing right now. So I am reading this English translation. I am also simultaneously reading the Swedish original. And I'm finding it really interesting as an exercise just because it definitely changes the vibe of the book. The atmosphere of reading it has been changing, and I'm trying to sort of pinpoint why or what is causing the change of the feeling of the book. So maybe that will be a upcoming video. Let me know if you're interested in that. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I will definitely be finishing it this week. I would have finished it earlier if I wasn't simultaneously reading it in 2 languages. Yeah, so more on this later. So that is the only book I'm actively currently reading. I'm sort of in the middle of books at the moment, and I'm considering starting an audiobook, but I haven't really committed to anyone just yet. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about my current crafting projects. So first of all, as many of you know, I am a knitter and I am currently working on several projects. My main project at the moment is a blouse #1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I will put some footage or a photo of the project that I'm currently working on instead of just trying to hold it in front of the camera. But it's in a sort of lime green, I think the color hue is called, or the color is called pistachio. It's a really nice green color in Drops Cotton Merino, and I really wanted to make this one as a sort of light summer weight, as a summer lightweight project or a sweater that I could just sort of throw on in summer evenings, or sort of the spring transition from spring to autumn, sort of that time period. Because it's a combination of cotton and merino, I think it will be a sweater that I will get a lot of wear out of, and I've wanted to make a blouse #1 for a long time because I love the construction of it. It has this sort of, I think it's called continuous sleeve, which makes it so flattering, I feel like, the sleeve shape. And it's almost like it's drawn back a little bit, and I also really love the boat neck. The only thing I'm really curious about is how far up the neck will be, and whether or not you will be able to wear like a t-shirt underneath, or if it will feel too chunky along the shoulder area. It's knitting up so quickly. I am, like I said, using the cotton merino with 5mm needles, I think, and it's taken me about 1.5 weeks to knit almost the entire thing, which is unheard of for me. I have never made a project this quickly, which I think partially is because I'm just obsessed, and especially in the beginning. And I'm really in my green phase at the moment, so that is one of the projects I'm currently knitting. I'm also knitting another pair of I'm So Basic socks. I will leave a link to the patterns that I'm mentioning here, and I'm using the Jowl yarn, sock yarn, for the second time, and I'm sort of trying to to find the perfect sock for me and the perfect fit. So this is the third or fourth version of these socks I'm making. So the first one I made in Raumas tvåtråd, gammelserie, I think. And so it's a bit of a chunkier fingering weight, and I made that one I think in size medium, and I found that those became too big. Then I moved on to switching the yarn with the Jowl yarn, which is light fingering, and I made the size large because I was worried that it would be too small or too tight, and I still feel like it could be slightly tighter, so this time I am making it in size medium with the Jowl yarn in a brown color, and I'm using sort of a lime greeny type color for the heel and the toes as a contrast. So I'm really into the sock knitting. I feel like it's a fantastic project to have on the go at all times, to have as a sort of easy transportable project as well. But I've really been enjoying that, especially just sort of trying to figure out the perfect fit for me, so I can, when I've found it and when I'm happy with everything about it, I figured that I could make socks in any other color and color work and stuff, not just contrast, not just with two colors as contrast for the heel and the toe, but that is something that is sort of ongoing at the moment. And I'm also making a cloud sweater, which I am using Campus yarn, I think, Campus yarn, which is a Swedish-based yarn brand, I think, and I wanted, again, it's a green color. I've been obsessed with the greens, and that continues on with all of my current whips. All of them have something green in them, and they're also slightly different shades of green, which is funny. I feel like the cloud sweater is one of those really versatile styles. I have really been drawn to that style, and I think it's Toast or something, some big very popular brand that have these like ready-to-wear sweaters that I've been really inspired by, and that I think a lot of other people have as well, because the design of the cloud sweater is very similar to this that I've seen going around in the knitting community. But I really love the design of the cloud sweater by Petite Knit, even though I don't personally think that Petite Knit's instructions are the best. They're better now, I feel like, than they were originally, but I think that there are a lot of other designers that make better instructions, but the shape, the look of her patterns are always really modern and clean and versatile. So the cloud sweater is another thing that I've been working on for a long time. I've actually been sort of putting it to the side, and I think I have my first sleeve or my second sleeve ongoing, so I'm definitely in Sleeve Island. But that is one I would love to pick up again after finishing the blouse #1. I really want to try to prioritize my current whips to finish some of them off in the next few weeks, and also to plan projects based on the stash that I have, and I think I need to do an inventory of the stash that I have, so that I can really plan to use that up before I buy new yarn. The last current whip that I have is actually a crochet project. So I am fairly new to crochet, but I have made 2 sweaters. So the first crochet thing I ever did was a beach bag type thing, and it is all wonky, and I was just sort of using that as a way to learn. And then the following year I made so last year I made a crochet sweater, which was just a back panel, a front panel, a sleeve, and they were all like rectangles, and I sewed them together. And I made another one, the exact same pattern, for my sister in a black, and I made mine in cream cotton, and I don't remember what the pattern is called. I will put information on the screen and links in the description. So those are really the only things that I've made before, but I also made a ebook or e-reader case that I sort of winged, to be honest. I think I looked up some YouTube tutorials and sort of winged it. But currently I am working, I think it's called a Yolanda shirt, and I am using a fingering weight cotton yarn in a lime, and this one is more neon-y, limey color other in comparison to the other greens that I have ongoing. And I'm making the back panel at the moment, and I feel like this one is also fairly easy so far. It's fine, but we'll see how it goes when I have to actually make increases and decreases, because that is something I haven't done before. But so far it's fairly easy, and I feel like I'm starting to get used to holding a crochet hook in comparison to the knitting needles, and I'm really enjoying the process. So those are my current whips at the moment. Lastly, I just wanted to briefly mention the 2 K-dramas I'm currently watching. I don't know if any of you are also K-drama watchers. I go through phases of watching a lot of Japanese dramas and Korean dramas, and currently I'm in a K-drama phase. I think I always tend to be drawn to it around the summertime. I think possibly because of the fact that I have more time. But I am rewatching Mouse, which is one of the darkest K-drama thrillers, psychological dramas that I've ever seen. So if you're into that vibe, then I would strongly recommend it. It is very creepy, and there is a reveal in it that is one of the most satisfying sort of hair-raising moments that I've ever had with K-drama, but I'm rewatching that, and I'm also watching the drama adaptation of Love in the Big City, which is a book I read when it was nominated for the Booker International a couple of years back, and I really love that book. And as I'm watching the adaptation, I'm really enjoying the adaptation as well, so would strongly recommend. It's available on Viki, so that is where I'm watching it, and it's just fantastic. I think that it conveys the sense of loneliness and friendship, and of sort of trying to find your place in the world, and relationships, and having people come and go so beautifully, and it really made me want to reread the book. So I have actually ordered it, and if it comes in time for Pride Month, that is one I will be rereading in June. So those are the K-dramas I'm watching. However, I'm also watching one other thing I realized, and that is Devil's Plan. Okay, so Devil's Plan is a game show. I'm not one who really likes game shows or reality TV much, but The Devil's Plan is so good. So it's a game show, like I said, it's Korean, and the first season had one of the members from 17 in it. So it's a mix of people involved. Some of them are actors or actresses, some of them are sort of news anchors, or they're journalists, or some of them are even like civilians, lawyers, you know, all of the types of people are mixed and are in this house, and they compete in one main game each day where they can either work together or work against each other. And then at the end of the day, they do another game. The second game in the day is more individually based, so they're working all against each other. Supposedly, it depends on how you approach it. And so the first season was last year, I want to say, and this season, the second season just came out, and I've been obsessing. It's so good. And all of the games are so complicated. I never understand exactly what is going on. I just spend so much time getting all of the information about the rules, and they have like a half an hour to digest the rules, and that is because they are so complicated. So that is one of the things I'm really enjoying about it, but I really wanted to recommend it if you're at all interested in the sound of this. I really wanted to urge you to pick it up, to watch it, because I feel like not enough people know about this. So that is all I wanted to say for this very chatty catch up. Let me know what you are currently reading. What are you watching? Do you have any recommendations for Pride Month watching or reading, or the Human History Project? What are you up to? What is your plans for June? Let's have a conversation in the comments. I hope you're all doing fantastic, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.